All right, welcome to the stretch. We're going to have Big Cat join to talk about the Bulls and the Zach Lavine and how miserable everything is. Well, the one thing that we know that we have and we can always rely on that always comes through for us is that great tasting, less filling Miller Lite. From holiday gatherings to office parties to fireside conversations and football Sundays, we're on to our last football Sunday. Winter means more. Winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and great tasting light beer. Taste like Miller time, the taste you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who like beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits differently than other light beers. David, big game this weekend.
Huge game this weekend.
What's your plan for Miller Lite?
2 cases, 24 packs. I might even throw in a 12er of bottles. I like the bottles here too.
Class it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's a big day.
It is a big day.
Basically a holiday, national holiday. But I will be coming with Miller Lite aplentiful.
Yeah, and then if you forget, you just
MillerLite.com/stretch. Right?
That's right. Slash the stretch. That's how you find delivery options near you. You could find Miller Lite out anywhere though. This is Chicago. It is Chicago's beer. So anywhere that's going to sell it, they're going to have Miller Lite because it always tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, let's get into the stretch with Big Cat. All right, we got Big Cat, our Bulls correspondent, live from New Orleans, coming in to talk about the Zach Lavine trade and another rebuild in Chicago. Dave, you said you had something off the top here?
Well, 2 things. Dan's walking right now, so I'm kind of getting like the Blair Witch nausea effect going on his Zoom shot. And 2, Big Cat, are you officially are you going to be in Barstool season 2 with us? Jesus, man.
What are you talking about?
Looks like it's creeping back there a little bit. I can say that as a bald guy myself right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 40 years old, Dave, but it's been creeping back a little bit. It looks pretty fucking good to me for 40 years old.
I think so too, Dan. He did the same thing to KFC when he had him on. Yeah. He just wants everybody to be as bald as him. That's what you wanted to lead with off the rip?
Kind of, yeah. And here's another thing, Dave, White Sox Dave. When and if I need to do it, I got enough money I can do it in America, okay? I don't have to go to fucking Turkey.
So do I.
No, you don't.
I could have done it.
You would have done it here.
I said I would. I don't
need it. I don't need it, but if I did, I would be able to afford it here. So no, I'm not going to Turkey with you. We're not doing bald stool for me. And my hair looks fine. What's up, guys? How we doing?
Anything else, Dave?
That was it.
You came at me right away. I zoomed in. I got a million things going on. I zoomed in, and you just come right at my hair.
You can suspend. Do you want to suspend?
I come at your hair. You come at my hair every time I fucking.
Your hair stinks.
It doesn't stink.
Your hair did stink for a long time.
Oh yeah, it did stink. It did stink. That's right.
It currently stinks.
It
currently stinks too.
Yeah, wait until.
But are you comparing my hair right now to your hair pre-surgery?
No, I'm not. I'm comparing.
Okay, all right. So that's my point. Is like
3
there's
months
no
down the road in the future.
So how many months down the road? This has been my hair for like. My hair has not changed. It's gone like it's like the fucking global warming when everyone's like, oh, it's gone up like 1 centimeter. It's like, it's fine. We're fine.
Do you want to suspend him without pay? We could do that. We could just shut his mic off.
No, it's all right. I love you, Dave. You know I always love you.
I do know that, Dan. We, as Chief started the show, we are in the precipice of rebuild. What is it? What number of rebuilds is this for the Bulls?
It's just perpetual.
It's not even like, that's the thing, is the Bulls aren't even. This is the first time that they actually maybe are committing to a real rebuild in a while, because that's the problem with Jerry Reinsdorf. He doesn't ever want to actually like tank and be bad. This is why we got in this situation in the first place in 2022 when they tried to, they had the first half of the season where everything worked out and they were the best team in the NBA for a minute. Now they're shedding everything. Now, DeMar and Zach Lavine, and like, you don't get anything back for him. You get your own first round pick back for him. It was a shitty trade in the fact that like, it's, like everything the Bulls do is mistimed. They should have done it a while ago, just like they should have traded Alex Caruso at the trade deadline last year. But at least they're gonna suck and I just want him to suck. That's all I want him to do. I want him to suck. I want him to suck and be in the lottery every single year. And Zach Lavine is like a decent player. He just was wildly overpaid because they've basically mismanaged every step of the way for the last however many years.
Yeah,
a million.
This trade is crazy. So De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin go to the Spurs. There were 6 draft picks in this trade. So a 2025 first for Charlotte, 2027 first for San Antonio, 2031 from Minnesota, all going to the Kings. The Bulls just get their own. So this is where it's just like, which even doing this trade, because that pick was top 10 lottery protected, you're probably just going to have it anyways. So they got 3 backups for Zach Lavine. And it's just like, I'm glad that they're doing it. But now we are in year 5 of AK. And you're right. They had that stretch up until Lonzo got hurt. I looked at it last night. It was 35 games. They had 35 good games with AK in this rebuild. And now it's just like, all right, well, the NBA takes fucking forever. So that's my point, is it was never a rebuild because they were trying to win on the fly. So now it might actually be a rebuild.
I mean, AK's a moron, so I don't know if you want him to be running it. The organization sucks. The only thing I hope for now is that they will suck and get enough lottery picks, and maybe Cooper Flagg will get lucky. Like, that's really, this trade sucked. The only way this trade ends up being good is by trading Zach Lavine, who is good at basketball. The Bulls got worse, so the Bulls getting worse might increase their percentage of getting the number 1 pick by like 10%. I don't know. They'll go from like the 9th or 10th worst team to like the 6th worst team without Zach Lavine. So it's like a process sucks, but there's still a chance the results could not suck.
Would you fire AK if you're?
Yeah, but like nothing's going to change because the Reinsdorfs aren't going to change anything, and they just want to win 40 games every year and be the 10th, the 9th or 10th. I said it the minute the NBA expanded the play-in game and the amount of teams that made it. I was like, this is a Reinsdorf rule. This is exactly what he wants. He wants like having 10 teams make the playoffs is in each conference is exactly what Jerry Reinsdorf wants, because he can say, oh, well, we were competitive and we made the play-in game. And it's bullshit because we all know we're not stupid. Mm-hmm. They're nowhere near close to competing or being close to competing for a championship.
He's dangling the carrot. That's what he does.
Yeah.
That's what he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is, again, it's like, I'm happy that Zach Lavine got traded because you had to trade him. Just because I want the Bulls to suck, because that's the only way out of it in the NBA is to suck. Like, you can't just be in mediocre land forever. But the trade is bad. Like, trading for your own pick back is an insane thing, and they mismanaged the whole thing. So it's not like, oh man, great trade. It's just more like, hey, finally they realize that you have to like actively be bad in the NBA to get good again, and that probably won't even work anyway. Because what we've learned as well is that, I mean, I have all my years messed up, but like there was the year, obviously the Jim Boylan year, where they really truly sucked.
Yeah,
and then but that's the problem with Reinsdorf, is like they suck for a year and then he's like, all right, no more. Like we need to be like a 40-win team, and that's where we got to this spot because AK came in and was like, oh shit, we got to get to that middle of the road team, and then got DeRozan and gave Zach Lavine a big contract, got Lonzo, like, and then in classic Bulls fashion, they're like, well, if Lonzo doesn't get hurt, they're probably competing for a championship. We know that's not true. And also Lonzo gets hurt all the time. I like him, but he gets hurt all the time.
Yeah, I like him too. And I was so desperate for anything to go right with that team that I liked it when they did that, because it was like, hey, they won't be so pathetic. They might win a playoff series. Like that was the goal. Like you get a top 4 seed, maybe you win a round, and it's like, whatever, fuck it. Like it's better than what we had before. Now it's just like it feels like this is the right move, but it also feels like there's no way forward at the same time.
Right. It's the right move, but it's still a bad move in the fact that it's bad that you were even in this position where you have to trade insanely. Zach Lavine's and credit to Zach Lavine, by the way. He could have been a pouty bitch like Jimmy Butler or someone else, like a lot of James Harden. Yeah. He came and played this year, and he played well. But it's just it's crazy that you put yourself in a spot where you gave Zach Lavine, who's a fine player, way too much money, And it's no fault of Zach Lavine. And then you had to trade him for nothing except for your own pick. It's nuts. I mean, I hope they continue trading. They won't get anything for anyone. That's the thing. Is like, I wasn't shocked by this. I knew that Zach Lavine was just not going to get you anything. There was, if anything, I could spin it as a little bit of a positive. There was a time where people thought we were going to have to attach a first to get Zach Lavine's contract off the books. So, I mean, we took on a big contract in Zach Collins, but like, I don't know. It's just all a mess. It all bums me out. We can talk about it more next week. But it all bums me out.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's like you look at the AK thing, which is why I want to fire him, is because you did have one top pick, and that was Patrick Williams, who I think is pretty close. You can just say he's a bust now. Like a fourth overall pick, and like so you completely swung and missed on that. In real time, it was like, oh, like maybe AK is a genius, and he's swinging for the fence if he took the sixth man from Florida State because he's young and athletic and 19, and people are like, he's going to be the next Kawhi. He's not anything. So it's just like now it's just like if you're doing the rebuild, which Jerry doesn't fire anybody, so it's probably going to be AK, but you don't trust him to do anything. So we're just fucking stuck. It's just another team mired in another long rebuild.
Mm-hmm. It's essentially you just have to hope the Bulls lose enough this year that they end up in that like 6 lottery odds, and then Adam Silver does the Bulls a solid and like we need the Bulls. I mean, they can do this. They just traded Luka to the Lakers. So they can do these type of things. So not to be a conspiracy theorist, but just figure it out, Adam Silver, and give the Bulls the first pick and get Cooper Flagg here.
I don't think that's too much to ask. It'd be good for everyone. It'd be good for the league. Everybody makes money.
How much does Chicago not being able to watch the Bulls right now? Because I have not watched the Bulls at all this year because I can't watch the Bulls. How much does that affect the NBA on like a national money level?
I don't fucking know.
What kind of question was that, Dave?
I'm asking because, like, are they hurting so much from an eyeball perspective in Chicago that they would throw the Bulls a bone and be like, hey, we need your eyeballs. Here's fucking Cooper Flagg. That's what I'm asking.
I see what you're saying. That actually isn't a bad question. No, I mean, I think that there are certain markets that the NBA will always want to be good. But then you could always make the argument, it's like, well, then how are the Knicks so bad for so long? Yeah. But yeah, this is just conspiracy theory where I'm just like, hey, maybe they'll throw us a bone because they obviously do want the Bulls to be competitive, and we're not going to be competitive. But yeah, everything sucks. This is the state of the Bulls is that I'm telling myself that we're going to get Cooper Flagg because Adam Silver is doing a conspiracy to keep the Bulls relevant. Like that's a sad spot to be in.
That's where it is. So I guess we'll leave you with one last question. Let you go back to whatever you're doing in New Orleans. Who's the closest to winning a playoff game of the teams here?
He froze.
No, froze.
You're kind of
here.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Am I frozen?
No, you're back.
Am I frozen?
You're back.
Okay. I guess I can't walk to the elevator. Cubs probably, right?
Cubs, I guess.
I mean,
yeah, it's got to be Cubs.
Fucking 85 win team.
Yeah, it's got to be Cubs just because they did get marginally better, and they could realistically be in the playoffs. Where the Bulls won't be in the playoffs, the Blackhawks won't be in the playoffs, the White Sox won't be in the playoffs.
Cubs and Bears,
and we can't. And I've told myself I'm not going to let myself get excited about the Bears until I see it on the field. So it's got to be Cubs.
All right, Cubs it is. All right, Dan. Yeah. Well, that's the state of the Bulls. Thanks for jumping on.
All right. See you guys later.
All right, that was Big Cat coming live from New Orleans. The Bulls might be, other than the White Sox, the two most desperate, pathetic teams. Jerry's the link.
He is the common denominator. And it's funny because you guys were talking, and I even had back in 2022, that first half of their season, I was watching the Bulls.
They were fun. That was a
little
fun
bit
team.
On and off.
Yeah,
and my love for the Bulls died when Derrick Rose's knees died, as I've said a bunch. But it's funny because if you look at obviously the common denominator is Jerry Reinsdorf, and I know people are tired of me fucking bitching about him, but first half this season had the best record in the league in 2022. After that, it's just been 500 or worse.
Yeah, as soon as
Lonzo's back in 2022 or 2021, the White
Sox
Sox
December of 21.
Back in 2021, the White Sox had the best record in baseball through half a season, 500 the second half of the season, just dog shit ever since. It's like they bottom out to get to like being okay for a minute, and then it doesn't work because they don't know what the fuck to do and how to win. Jerry Reinsdorf, that is, and it all goes haywire for whatever reason. Injuries with Lonzo, obviously, plenty of injuries with the White Sox, but like the parallels to the two organizations are crazy. And I'm saying this as someone who doesn't even like. I look at the White Sox under a microscope. I would need a fucking telescope to know what the Bulls are doing right now. Like it's
Lance, you're probably the biggest Bulls fan of the show. You and Big Cat, and probably Eddie in that group as well. Did you even care about this trade? Have you been able to watch the Bulls at all? I feel like maybe it's just because I'm in hockey Twitter and Blackhawks Twitter that people were furious about the TV situation. It feels like nobody even cares about the Bulls.
What did I?
Well, I'm asking. You don't give a shit, Lance.
No,
does.
I know, but I didn't even realize that fucking happened last night. That's
how
the
trade. Yeah. What is there that same outrage that the games aren't on TV for the Bulls?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think for a decent amount of people, and I think they've accepted it. I'm a Fubo TV guy, so I weirdly do have the network or whatever. I think that definitely in the beginning, it's kind of, I think everybody's just accepted that the Bulls are kind of just like a joke and they're putting us through it again, you know? So when it first happened, it was like, well, of course. And I don't think anybody was particularly too fired up for this season. I've been saying, I think I even said on an old Redline Radio episode that even when Lonzo went down, I said it was time to tear it down already.
Yeah.
You know, because that team was never going to win. We kind of knew that. Even when they were number one in the East, it's like when we get to the playoffs, you're probably going to lose to the Celtics or the Sixers or any of those teams then. So
I think that team, if healthy, could have won a playoff series.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think they could have beaten, you know, a team at the time, you know, maybe at the time like the Cavaliers or the Pacers,
like that,
you know, somebody in that 8th seed at that time. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy we ripped it down. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I would have. I don't know where we go from here. I think I'm kind of like you guys. We're hoping on lottery balls right now, and I definitely do like Big Cat have my NBA tinfoil hat on. I'm hoping for some foul play going on to get us Cooper Flag.
Yeah, I just think that the Bulls don't even deserve it. It's kind of like, you know, they've been in the lottery a ton. They always seem to pick 7th. And I feel like they'll end up picking 7th again. So they'll get some like rotational player. And then, you know, it's like you go back to that Patrick Williams draft. That was a Tyrese Halliburton draft. Passed on it. Yeah, a lot of guys passed on. I think he went like 13th or something like that. The Bulls were picking 4. So a lot of teams passed on him, but that would have been nice. And then Maxey was in that draft as well. So like there were better players that they could have gotten. It just feels like they just miss. They just miss on everything. I think it was the next draft. Or maybe it was a 2022. I don't know. But they just it's just like there's nothing to be excited about. There's no hope. They absolutely it was a 2020 draft. Yeah, Patrick Williams. So you look down that list. Obi Toppin's fine. They got a lot. Halliburton went 12. So the Bulls are just they've gone from purgatory, now they're down in hell, and it's like you need some luck to get out of it, but it feels like they're not going to get it because they don't deserve it, so they're just going to be a fucking whatever team forever. One team in Chicago that is at least trending up, at least media-wise, would be the Bears.
Yeah.
You know, they got the right coach. They paid him a fuck ton. Did you see that?
Yeah, 13 mil over 5.
Yeah, so
for
I think
65,
68
total,
million,
something like that.
So, which is another departure from what they've done.
Sure, totally. And I don't know if this is state-controlled media or not, but Courtney Cronin, who I think does a great job on the Bears beat, had a great article on the search process with. Did you read that? On how the Bears were like hell-bent on him, and it reads like everything you want to hear, and it reads like specifically George McCaskey was like, enough of this. So for all the shit ownership gets in the city, we have to call out the good shit they do too, you know?
Yeah.
And it sounds like he finally sucked up his pride and ego, whatever it is that led him to what the Bears currently are and went and got the best guy available. Now, will they fuck it up? Maybe, probably.
But at least they got the process right.
The process is there. You can't ask for anything more than that, right?
And then, exactly. And then the big NFL news of the day, reigning defensive MVP.
As of like an hour ago.
Yeah, literally 1 hour ago per Rappaport here. Myles Garrett has asked for a trade. So we talked about this before the trade deadline in the NFL, where I think the Bears were still 4-2 or something at that point. Yeah. And then that was before they lost 10.
Trade everything.
Yeah, before they lost 10 straight. So this is the opposite edge is something that the Bears need. Myles Garrett is reportedly available. I don't know what it would cost, but let's say it costs that 10th overall pick. Are you pulling the trigger on that?
10th overall pick, you get Myles Garrett. Obviously, that would come with probably an extension, I'd assume, right?
He's pretty well paid.
What's he's looking like? Contract looking like? And then
it's something the Bears can definitely afford.
They could afford it. They could absolutely afford it. And then you'd have to sink. It'd be free agency into the offensive line.
Yeah, but they do have 39 and 41 as well.
Sure.
So you can get some guys.
So that means obviously Wright's there. You're sticking with Braxton Jones at left tackle. That means you got to really go after
Myles Garrett is 30. He becomes a free agent in 2020. So he's got 2 years left. 2 seasons left. He's a free agent after 2027.
It's going to What okay, so what did the Bears get when they traded to Khalil Mack to the Chargers? So I think that'd be because he probably had 2 years left on that deal.
That's a good comp, Dave.
So I think that'd be a pretty similar comp.
That was the 2018 trade. I'm trying to pull it up. Lance, would you do that? Would you do the 10th just as a starting point?
Yeah, for 10 overall and maybe like a second-round pick coming in 2026, I would do it. I don't think at 10 you could get a player that will be as impactful for at least the next 2 years as Myles Garrett would. So I think with 10, I think if it was 3 first-round picks or something like that, or 3 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders or something, I'd say no, because he is 30, and are we going to Khalil Mack ourselves again?
Khalil Mack in 2022 netted a 6th-round pick, which turned into Brisker.
It didn't turn out too bad of a trade then, I guess.
Yeah.
How much money and how many years left on that deal do you have?
I think it's probably pretty comparable now. He got traded again after that. But this is like the Browns, they gave up 3 first-round picks, so they're probably going to want one back. I think I am with Lance because you have this window here. It's almost like that contract expires at the right time because that's when you're going to have to pay Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe that you can shore up the offensive line via free agency in the second-round picks in the draft, then now your defense is set. You don't have to use one of those second-rounders or I don't know what they're looking at 10. They're probably either edge or offensive tackle. Then he takes up one of those spots. So it's like you're getting an impact guy at that spot at a big number, but he's fucking awesome, and he's awesome, and he's opposite of Sweat and Dexter in the middle. And then you use
that's a nice defensive line there. All of a sudden,
that's a
right?
Super Bowl front four.
That's a Super Bowl front four,
right? So now Garrett in his statement says he wants to go. His dream is to pursue winning a Super Bowl. I don't know if the Bears are in that.
It's kind of a lateral move going from the organization.
I think the Bears are in a much better place than the Browns.
Definitely.
They don't have the Deshaun Watson quarterback fiasco.
Definitely. But they still have the stink of being the Bears that will permeate around them until they do win a Super Bowl again, should that day come.
It would be like a statement of intent too,
But those statements of intent don't always work. It didn't work with Mac when.
I think it did. It did. They won the division, and then they're a double doink. Who knows what happens, but. They didn't have the quarterback. I never liked Mitch. I really still believe in Caleb.
Yeah. Definitely.
So you're effectively, if you let Keenan Allen walk, and you basically just have his money go to Myles Garrett. It's almost basically a wash, dollar for dollar.
I'll take that all day.
So would I.
Take that all day. But I just what gets me is if we start talking about future first-round picks.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how many picks this. I would guess right out at least 2, right? Probably.
I don't know what the market will be because of that number, and I don't know how many teams can afford that cap hit.
You've got to take all of that into account for sure.
But on the surface, it feels like we're 3 for 3 unanimous on having Myles Garrett in here. That's his bonuses are, look at the cap hit carries $20 million.
Okay, it's $20 million.
Yeah,
all right.
$20
they got 66, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it's less than that, but they would be fine.
Yeah.
They're because like you said, Keenan Allen walks or comes back at a very reduced number. Lance is pulling up the salary cap right here. Yeah, 63. So this to me feels like a deal you have to make. And you have to be you go sign some offensive linemen, you draft some offensive linemen. I like the secondary as is. I think you got to be in the discussion.
Pull the trigger.
You got to be in the discussion.
Go win a goddamn Super Bowl. Get the monsters.
How about just win some fucking games? And if you have, that would probably be instantly the best 2 defensive end combo in
probably
the league.
Right.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody better than those 2, and they're a system fit. So, I am now sold on doing this.
Now, I'm just to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I love that, Dave.
You got age 30 on one defensive end, age 30 on the other.
Totally. Don't care.
Don't care?
I wanted to do his.
How many sacks did he have last year?
Not that much. I don't even want to look it up. But he was not as productive as he was the first half year with the Bears. And this is one of those things where it's just if
Garrett had 14 last year, I think.
I thought
Sweat had like 5-ish, maybe.
I think he had more than that. He had a good first half of the year, but this is where you have this situation where you do have the rookie quarterback and you have him on that deal for 3 more years. Do everything you can to build the best team possible, and then when you have to pay Caleb, these guys are off the books anyways, and you have to recalibrate your whole situation. So. I'm with you. Don't give up futures. I would give up that 10 this year.
I'd give up the 10 and then, sprinkling on a second or whatever next year. I don't know
what
just
it would take.
Don't mortgage first round picks like they're fucking candy like the Bears have always done. Stay the course.
Just 1 first round pick.
1 first round pick's fine.
Yeah.
But that would be the current pick as well.
Correct. 10th overall.
Yeah. But don't mortgage for it. Stay the course. Draft everything that ends with linemen. The recipe, we know what they need.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson knows what they need. Ryan Poles knows what they need. So we'll see.
Yeah, unless you just think Mike Green, the Marshall guy, who meatball, if you saw him at the Senior Bowl, absolutely
I saw that.
Tank somebody. Then it's like maybe Mike Green is that cheaper option. You just kind of stay the course and you pick him, and then you pick your linemen who are probably going to be interior guys with 39-41.
That I keep seeing the Bears tied to. The Chiefs guard,
Trey Smith.
Trey Smith, yeah,
that's Lance's boy.
That's who I would want. I think also with doing this Myles Garrett trade, I think it's very, very dependent on buying an offensive line, right? So if you
what you have to do.
If you spend in free agency on an offensive line, and then they're now saying that Will Campbell probably won't be available at 10, so then you're looking at the guy from Texas.
Kelvin Banks.
Kelvin Banks. So people are talking about us taking Ashton Genty. Would you rather have Ashton Genty or Myles Garrett? I think it's no brainer taking Myles Garrett.
And then, but this goes back to, can Genty be what?
Jameer.
Yeah. Gibbs. Because they Swift kind of fucking sucks, and
he's a bum.
And
he was okay.
He's a bum.
He's fine, but it's a position that you probably want to upgrade.
He's a gadget guy. Yes.
Yeah, and Genty. I don't think Genty has that gear. Like Gibbs gear.
I haven't watched him. No, Gibbs is probably the best gear in football.
Yeah.
At that position.
He's so fucking fast.
He's absurd.
I have that Mike Martz conversation burned into my brain where he's just like, you got to have the running back. I
need someone else of like a Mike Martz stature, someone who's got all the accolades and coaching, in the world.
Mike Martz did trade Greg Olsen for fucking nothing, basically.
I need someone to tell me why that'd be a bad move. Because if I hear someone, I'm like, Mike Martz, greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
Marshall Faulk. How is he wrong?
Can't be.
But obviously he was wrong a lot.
The Bears, we're forgetting, and I'm kind of making a joke here, but we do still have Hard Knocks star Ian Wheeler, You know, he's coming back. He's off an injury. Maybe Ian Wheeler's the guy. Who knows?
I'm going to say that's probably not going to happen.
Probably
Runs
not.
like
but
a 4.2, right?
Yeah, he's fast as fuck. Okay. And then I think the only other big story in Chicago right now is once again Connor Bedard. So they played the Panthers over the weekend, and I feel like anytime Connor Bedard gets criticism, which this has been turned on me. The internet turned on me a few weeks ago. It was like a month ago. If you criticize Bedard, Blackhawks Twitter freaks the fuck out. So the clip was in a game where Reinhart, who's one of the best goal scorers in the NHL, big strong guy, not overly big, but strong, scores a ton of goals. Bedard just basically did not have the effort that you would want to see in getting under a stick and being physical as a center to break up that play. And Messier in the intermission was just like, this isn't good enough. I would bench him for the power play. This is if he fucks up to this degree, then you immediately reward him with power play time, then that kind of kills the culture and the morale of the room. And the reaction to that statement has been like, old man yells at cloud, or Messier is like, he's just an old guy. He's trying to get clicks, whatever it is. Then you have the people, then you have like the Messier crowd where it's like, and I probably sent that clip to 10 different people on my phone that are ranging from wit to guys that are currently in the NHL to execs, scouts, coaches, and everybody kind of has a different answer. And I think the appropriate thing is kind of what I get back to, where Messier killed him for that. He did kind of have his guy. He wasn't hard enough on the play, but it's not like he was just caught watching. Like, he was in the right position. He just didn't do the job to win the battle. And so it's like, you want to see him battle harder. He does have to be harder on that play, but he was in the right spot. So it's like, you kind of have to give him credit for that. The benching him on the power play thing, this is where I think it's a little bit nuanced, because you do have this situation where they don't have anybody that you want to put out on the power play. So it's like, he has to be out there, and his job isn't necessarily to be Taves, Bergeron, one of these great defensive centers. He's drafted first overall to score goals and to make plays. So you do that largely on the power play. But if you want to send a message to a kid who's been in the league for a year and a half now, over 100 games, all that, are you willing as a last place team to sacrifice one power play to send a message? And I think you can make an argument that is something that you should explore. And that goes back to a conversation I had with Quenville on the golf course, where he was like, the only real currency you have as a coach in this day and age, because you're not going to like humiliate people or bagskate people the way that you used to, is ice time. So can you take away his ice time there to deliver a message? But it's like, at the same time, like, that's not his job. That's not why Bedard is on the team. It's not why he's drafted first overall. So I'd have to like know from people in the locker room, which I don't, did that bother people that he was put right back out there? And I think the appropriate answer is, this is the thing I keep going back to. Just don't even play him at center. Like, don't play him at center. Put him at wing. Let him be the goal scorer. Tell him to fuck off. Take responsibility off his plate defensively. He's never going to be great at that. So just don't even put him in that position. So that would be my first take. Second take, Anders Sorensen is a rookie head coach in the NHL. He's a developmental guy. He's probably going back to Rockford after this year. They need a coach that can play that the right way. I don't think players in the room are going to hold Connor Bedard to the same standard that they hold to Jason Dickinson, because Jason Dickinson's job is to break up plays like that. Like, that's part of the reason why he's in the NHL. He's not in the NHL to score 120 points. Like, they have different roles. So it's like, you don't hold everybody to the same standard, and it's like, maybe that message being like, hey, you got to be harder on pucks, has to come from another player in the room, which is what Messier was. Like, Messier was the captain. They named the leadership award after him. It's going to resonate if you have a guy like that delivering that message to Bedard, more likely. And that's coming from other players I've talked to in the league about this very clip, where it's like the coach, and it's like, Messier, like, what do you want from him? But Messier did hold everybody to that standard, and you want your best player to be held to that standard and to be able to deliver that message, which Bedard is 19, so he's not really, and he's not, it's like your best player has to eventually be your leader, and if you're going to be the leader, it's like the old Jordan thing, like I never asked anybody to do anything I wasn't willing to do myself. So you want Bedard to have that just instinct to be like, I'm going to beat the fuck and win this battle, and they're not scoring a goal on me. He doesn't have that, so push him out to the wing. And then I think this whole roster construction where they brought in all these veteran guys 2 years in a row to kind of bring them along, whether it's Foligno, obviously the Perry thing didn't work, Craig Smith, Alec Martinez. There are veteran guys there, but I could see a veteran guy being like, I don't want to fucking deal with this.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like the whole philosophy of how this roster was built is not conducive to building a culture. I just don't think you can build cultures with mercenaries. So it's like a nuanced thing. I don't think it's the end of the world that he didn't break up that play. That's not his job. But if it's not his job, then put him in a different position where it's literally not his job. And then build the team around, like, with that intent, which is go get more centers, either via trade or free agency. Because like the things, if Messier is right where it does, and I've heard, and other veteran guys, again, not on the Blackhawks, text me back being like, yeah, like that sucks. Like you should have him, like they agree. Some guys agree with Messier. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but it's like you wish he just had that on his own. And right. It's like, yes, he's a young player, but he is also the best player, and you want your best players to be your leaders and do all the little things right too.
Now, when you sent that clip this morning, to me, when I watched it, not knowing anything about hockey, it looked like pure laziness to me.
I don't think that's true. Because if it
looked half-assed.
It looked like he just didn't compete hard enough. But
to me, that's a conscious decision to be that motherfucker that nobody likes to play against.
I think that's
versus what he did.
I think that's unconscious, where he, like, either you have that in you or you don't.
You can flip a little bit of a switch. And
sure, you can. But like most guys, either you have it or you don't. And I just
someone
don't.
of his ability. Like I don't want to get too like Freudian. Like I feel like he should look at that and be like, I'm fucking better than that. I'm gonna be.
And maybe he will. He will. But it's just also like that's never been his strength, even when he was in junior. It's just like that's not why he's on the team. So if he gives one up, you expect him to get one the other end. That's kind of your trade-off.
If he gave one up there and it looked like he was doing everything in his power to my eye to not let what happened happen. That's one thing.
So it
didn't look like that.
The laziness laziness comment that you made, I would say there's a famous clip of Ovechkin from maybe like 8-10 years ago where they made it like the NHL video game where the controller switches off. Mm-hmm. Like they have the little circle around the control because he's just like watching. He wasn't watching. He was in the right position. So I think there is like, all right, you're halfway there. Like you got to the right spot, but you got to be harder on pucks. And I hope someone delivers that message, and I hope he feels some guilt and shame about that particular instance, and he does get better, and it's a learning moment. But I do think he deserves some credit for being in the right area and reading the play the right way. He's got to get under that stick and make a defensive play.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And maybe that happens next time, and like there is. I don't know. It's tough. I do come from it from the aspect being like, just make him a wing. Just make him a wing, so then he's never really even has to be in that spot, ideally, because he is 5'9", 5'10", and $180. Like he's never gonna be Barkov. He's never gonna be Jonathan Taves in his prime. Like he's just not ever gonna be that. So don't ask him to be. Push him off to the wing. Mm-hmm. And they just don't have center, so it's hard to do right now. But I do think that's where he ends up long term, which is not like a bad thing if he's scoring 120 points a year, if he ends up doing that. But it is just like it sent everyone into a fucking tizzy. And I wish they had a Messier who was in the locker room, who was that like, hey, not only am I a great player and a leader, but I'm also going to be here for 5 years, where all their guys are like, Nick Foligno, who I really love, and I think seems like a good guy and a good leader. He's barely hanging on in the NHL. Yeah, right. He's like a reduced role for the worst team in the league. Like, does that message coming from him hit the same way it would if it was coming from an established veteran who's like, hey, we are building a culture here of doing things the right way. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
And it's
Agreed.
So it's like you give him credit for being there. You want him to be harder on it. Some of it is coaching. Some of it is management with the roster. And it's just the roster, top to bottom, any way you slice it, talent, future, all that stuff, it's just not good enough. And it's not good for Bedard either. And so they got a lot of work to do this summer. But ultimately, I think this is, and I have been hard on Bedard. I want to err towards at least he was in the right spot.
That's the straw we're grasping, or the
no. I don't think it's a straw. Like there are plenty of guys who would be 10 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Or cheating to break out, and he was at least down low in the right spot. He just didn't make a play, and hopefully he gets a little bit more sandpaper to him and gets a little bit physically stronger as he gets a man body, and he does make that play in the future. But it's like he's got to start making those. He's got to start winning those little small area battles, because that's the difference between winning and losing.
For sure.
And he does a lot of things that can help you win offensively, but if you're going to be the best player on a team that wins the cup with the C on your chest and all that, like people expect him to be when they drafted him, then he's got to make those plays. Like he's got to make those plays and have the effort, and but at least he was in the right position, I guess. But it's room for improvement for a young kid for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I think that's enough hockey talk for today.
I like breaking. I don't give a shit about fucking game to game basis, but like that is the stuff I like as a fan. When you sent that clip, I was pissed. I'm like, immediately, I'm like,
yeah. Well, and this is where it's like I've said all year, like I don't care about the point totals. I don't care about the final score. I just want to see good habits, and I want to see guys compete. And that's where the competitive streak there is where it fell short.
Let me ask you a question. How easy or hard would it have been to find a clip like that of Taves or Kane in their rookie or first or second seasons?
I mean, but again, like he's more similar to Kane, and Kane played maybe half a season at center, I think in like 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So like they never really asked Kane to do that. You can find plenty of clips where you want Kane's defensive effort to be better, especially earlier on. And there's the famous I think it was mic'd up, but Jimmy Hayes, rest in peace. When he was on the Blackhawks, he blocked a shot, and like his hand was like, I don't know if it was broken, but it was like completely like fucking swollen and like very like in a ton of pain. And Kaner just looked at him and was like, Jesus, man, just take the minus. like don't even bother trying to block that shot. But like he and Jimmy are different. Like Jimmy was always fighting for his NHL life, especially at that stage of his career, where Kaner was set and he was a wing, and Jimmy played wing a lot too. But it was just like, Kane's just like, he's not going to do that. And it's like, if that's the goalie's job, that's the defenseman's job. Like my job is to put the puck in the net. But if you're a center like Taves always did that. Like he was a Selke winner. Like he was like that Barkov, Bergeron, Kopitar. Like that is part of how he helps you win. The Hawks desperately need a guy like that, and then that would allow Connor Bedard to flourish more. And I think that's what they got to do. So I don't know where they're going to be picking in this draft. It's going to be in the top 3, and they have to find that type of a guy to let Connor be Connor, because the talent he has, like insane talent, and he will score 100 points a year if he's surrounded with the right guys and allowed to play the right position. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, not a great clip, but maybe a little bit of an overreaction from Messier too. But I get where Messier's coming, because that's
totally,
he's the captain who, like, it was his room, and if somebody did that, regardless if it's another superstar or not, it's like that's not good enough. But the coach is never gonna, because he referenced Torts in that clip, and Torts is like a notorious like hard asshole who's like supposedly coaching Mitchkov. I don't think Torts is. Every player gets coached differently, and every player is asked to do different things and held to different standards. Like you're not asking, you wouldn't ask. I'm trying to think about Blackhawks from the previous era. Well, you're not going to ask Kane to do what Taves does. Like you're just not. Or you're not going to ask Kane to do what Shaw does. And if like Shaw pulls up on a hit and doesn't finish his hit, It's like, hey man, like you're in the NHL because you bring this element, and like Kane's in the NHL because he brings a different skill set than you.
Don't get hit.
Yeah, don't get hit. Don't
Right.
like you still have to have the effort, and you have to play an honest game.
For sure.
Yeah,
to me, it's just like in that like
it is nuance, and that's where I get so insane on like people get so angry online where it's like you can say things that are bad without being like this guy sucks. It's like he's just not set up.
MJ should have he did not get crossed up by Allen Iverson. That never happened. That's fake news,
Right, yeah. All right. Well, that's the hockey talk. I'm sure that'll get clipped and I'll be fighting with people online again, but it is the big game this weekend. We do have a little bit of action on that. So the rest of the show is our
Thanks, right over White Sox. I like that. Appreciate it.
Well, we talked a little White Sox with Jerry. But yeah, this ain't the little itty bitty teeny tiny bowl. This is the Super Bowl 59. Get in on the action at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and you have a shot to score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns. That is true. I love betting the touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code MID. That's code MID, MID, for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. So we have some prop bets.
Oh, you're looking for props?
Yeah, or whatever you like. What do you like, Dave? I went all props. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and some of them are related to each other, so we can just fly through these.
We can fly through them. First of all, what was the year that you hit that?
The overtime?
When you called it on the radio, and then you went into the Trump protester, and they were going to burn down the Trump.
Correct. So I think that was right after his inauguration or something. Yeah.
It was 2016.
It was 16. So it was 2017. Yeah. So 9 years ago, 8 years ago. So, and I think my logic for that bet was that it was like one out of.
Well, set the stage a little bit first. It was me, you, Sam.
Yeah, so we're just Sam Panayotovich, who's a gambling guy. I think he's with Nesson or something now, but he's a Chicago guy. Went to U of I, and he was doing a gambling show. And I was like, I did the math on how many Super Bowls there had been up to that point, and how many games actually go to overtime. And it is like 1 out of 30 games, in across all NFL competitions. And there had not been an NFL game to go to the Super Bowl or Super Bowl to go to overtime yet. So I was like, we're due, and then it hit, and that was like the Brady Falcons comeback game. So that one hit, and it was plus 700. So if it is 1 out of every 30, we're at 59. So we are technically due for another, just about. And that would be this year. It is on my list as plus 900.
Plus 900 for OT, and I think it is going to be a complete nail biter of a game.
1.5 is the spread.
So. So Vegas even thinks so, obviously, and I couldn't get that moment out of my head when I was compiling this list. When you nailed that, and I remember you explained it. You're like, the odds are that it's going to be.
We're due.
We're due. So we are due again. I love that number, the plus 900. I'm going to sprinkle on it. For the easy ones, don't bet against Mahomes. And
what does that mean?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay.
Minus 1.5, and then I'm not rooting for a defensive slugfest. I want offense, so I'm going over 48.5. Those are just the easy ones that everybody will be putting money on this weekend. Next, I got Saquon first touchdown plus 400.
Okay. All right, you want me? Yeah. How much? How many more do you have?
Like 7 total.
Okay.
And that's number 3.
Keep going. Rifle through them.
He's been getting 22 carries a playoff game. He is averaging 150 a playoff game right now. Why it's not a good bet, though, only once in the last 5 Super Bowls was a running back the first touchdown scorer. And you have no idea if they're going to even get the ball. I think whoever has the ball first is going to put it in the end zone first. That's my bet. I'm hoping.
So first drive touchdown.
First drive touchdown, yes. Yep. Then I have... Okay, so Mahomes has gone over his rushing yards How many games in a row has it been?
Well, you always seem to do it in the playoffs.
Yeah, every playoff game, I'm pretty sure this year. So I got the over 29.5 rushing yards minus 120.
All right, so I'm on that too, but I went to 40 to get plus money. That's plus 134 if he goes over 40.
Plus 134, I like that.
So over 40 for Mahomes, yeah. Because if it's a tight game and it's 3rd and 6, he's scrambling for 8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I have first quarter over 10.5 points. I think it's going to be touchdown off the rip. And we're going to have a tie ball game.
Okay. All right, you want me to do mine?
And then Pacheco anytime touchdown.
All right, so right off the rip, tails, even money, plus 100. Got to do that. Got to bet the coin toss. I have Mahomes over 40. I do like Kansas City to win. And then if you take Kansas City to win the toss and the game, it's plus 255. So if they win the coin toss and the game, it's plus 255. So I feel like that's pretty good.
Do you like? I like rooting for bets that like throughout the entire game. That'll kill it right off the rip.
I'm fine with that. It's a sprinkle. It's plus 255. So I like the points in this as well. Okay, so they have a bet on DraftKings that is quarterbacks 7+ touchdowns. So it could be rushing or throwing. So between the two of them, if they get 7 or more touchdowns, it's plus 275. And if you like 7 or more touchdowns, you're also on the over, which is, it's 48.5. So I took that. And then the only other one I have is a successful 2-point conversion plus 260. So I feel like 2-point conversions, people they used to be so rare. It's like, hey, we're down 2 with under a minute to go. We have to tie it. Now it's just like they look at the score sheet. 2-point conversions can happen at any time where they have that little chart of when to go for it. So a successful 2-point conversion plus 260. Those are my 7. Lance, do you have any that you like?
Yes. So with Saquon running the ball so much, the Chiefs have probably game planned that we need to stop the run. I'm going to take Saquon receiving. They're going to get Saquon the ball. They're going to need him to get the ball. It's only 15 yards. I think he can do that one play.
I had that too, actually. I did have that too. And I was shocked it was that low.
What's the money on that?
So that is just minus 103. So basically just an even bet. Also, I have Travis Kelce on both the yards and the catches, right? So 7 catches, 70 yards. I think Travis Kelce right now is the second all-time in catches in the Super Bowl. He's got 31. Jerry Rice has 33. So he needs 3 catches to be the all-time receiving or reception holder for the Super Bowl. I think he's going to go crazy.
He's going to go crazy. He's going to retire, and he's going to propose to T Swift at the
I'd love that.
line.
I would love that.
Literally a movie that Roger Goodell has already in print.
Yeah. So I've got that, and then I'm also going tails. And then also just for funsies, I think sometimes something crazy is going to happen. I'm going Chiefs defensive touchdown.
I was
plus 600
too. 2 was like plus 2,000 for defensive plus. And I was thinking,
what was that, Lance?
Weird.
Plus what? 600?
Yeah, 600. Let me confirm. But yeah, 600. That is plus 600.
Okay.
Chiefs defensive touchdown or special teams. So that also means that they could, if they're kick return, punt return, anything like that.
It's a shame kick returns are basically dead. All right. What about you, Jacob? You're sitting here. You like any props? Nothing?
I do.
Okay.
I have a couple that I like. DraftKings does have a promotion right now where they'll match like a $20 touchdown bet instantly. So I kind of like sprinkling on both of the Chiefs tight ends. Noah Gray is at 5-1 to score. I feel like a lot of attention defensively is going to be on Travis Kelce. And I don't think it'll be a huge issue. I saw he's plus 130, but I like putting that the
little bonus bet.
That bonus bet on Noah Gray as a little bit of a hedge just to make sure, because I feel like Patrick Mahomes loves to feed his tight ends.
He does.
And they like to get tricky with it in the Super Bowl, and I feel like a lot of eyes are going to be on Kelce and T Swift. So I got my boy Noah Gray in the back, ready for 6.
Lance, I love this Saquon receiving yards bet so much. I might move it to 25 because your rationale is perfect. A little screen pass that's like, oh shit, caught him off guard. He goes for 60 or something.
Yeah, or even just like a little check down. Jalen Hurts is scrambling around. He just finds Saquon. Saquon just takes it and goes.
At 60 plus, he's plus 1580.
I might do that for funsies.
I mean, just for fun, throw it on there because it's one play away. Yeah. With Saquon Barkley, he's always one play away. So I don't hate that for a really long shot. The 60-yard total at plus 15, actually plus 1580 now.
Okay.
And then right before kickoff, I always make it just a crazy touchdown.
Yeah, then
parlay.
I just start
I'm probably going to do Mahomes touchdown, Jalen Hurts, Saquon, just make a crazy one, responsible.
I usually, before kickoff, prior to me being in retirement, I'm coming out of retirement for the Super Bowl, I would have so many touchdown score bets that if one of them hit, and the Bears didn't hit a lot of them a lot of times, that it would basically just get me back to even because no one else would score.
Checks out.
Yep. What's Kelsey at for touchdowns, like 2+ touchdowns?
I'll look it up.
Plus 1,000. He's at plus 1,000. Hunt's at 900, and Saquon's at 300.
All right.
I do not like that number for Saquon.
All right. Well, that's the stretch for today. All right, boys.
It's
good.
fun every time Ed's out of town and we got a host. It's like, oh shit, what do we do?
I think we did it fine.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's the show. We'll see you on Friday.